chasing away the thing, the delusioning clinging to my head. What is it? Her voice was shaking. Did she see a spider or something? I followed her outside. Alright, I remember it now. I went outside and ignored the monster and shouted, "Sheep! Sheep!" Suddenly the world turned gray. There you are, and the three dumbasses, that means... Oh, so each of the three was for a separate thing. I see, I see. You don't have to. I have everything figured out. So that with the serious tone. There goes the city. I got called sheep shit by sheep. You mean you need time to solve this thing, right? Resolving this incident wouldn't be easy. There were 3 things that had to be done. I had to stop the people of Yasume Zoo from killing each other. I had to deal with the master of the looping, and when the monsters resurrected, and I had to deal with the Migurama and the leaders of the feast. The first thing would be the hardest. I had to prepare for it, for the big act. Sheep, I need your help. Can you send me back as far as possible? That's fine. Let them know the only risk of doing that, you won't be able to control the dream again. That means that you and me both would be taken in by the loop and no longer store our memories and just repeat the same things. So I'll go back using your powers and you'll be noticed and consumed by the dream. But it's all be fine if I just solve the problem, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can solve it all. I'm just not sure if I can do this flawlessly. I'll do it for sure though. At worst I'll suffer some damage, but I'll still pull it off, I guess. Then I guarantee I'll do it in the next exchange. You swear that you'll do your part. At worst, give me at least 1 whole day since the starting point and make my memories as complete as possible. If I lose just one thing, my guarantee will be void. Yes. I'd say this is the kind of resolve is actually necessary to beat this old guy. Yes. Wait, hold on. 1 ton per sheep. Just how many months worth of is that? I'm sorry. My apology went unheard. 5:10 Saturday. Shit. Huh? I woke up. This unpleasant awakening and the general discomfort in the room, it was that awful and I'd visit. Whoa, hostess came in just like that? At least it wasn't that needless, eccentric, prosperous. It's been a while, so I assume I don't really remember it. That's for the best. I don't want to remember it.
はい。
Nothing. Just talking to
朝
myself.
食はどうなさいますか？くっくっく。
I'm good, thank you.
連泊は
I'd rather die.
寂しい。
I'll point about 50 people I don't like to this place, so you can take care of them.
超助かる。
I'm checking out.
毎度あり。くっくっく。
What was with this place? Anyways, since I was staying here, that meant I checked the calendar on my phone and found out that it was Saturday, May 10th. I get lost at the mountain on the night of the 11th, and the mist would come the evening of the 12th. From what I could tell, I could remember everything. From what I recalled, this is Jeannie's first restarting point too. I was upset I couldn't tell her about this, but I hope she remembered everything too. It looked like the sheep did what he had to. Now I just had to fix the problem. It'd work out. I wrote down and left in. There's a list containing things I needed and things I had to do to solve the problems. I knew 3 things I had to do pretty well. I had to stop the people at Yasumi Zoo. I had to deal with the master of the looping. And I had to deal with the Migurama, the leader of the feast. Things wouldn't be solved if at least one of them wasn't cleared. And unlike before, I only had one chance. Pretty boring if I messed up after all this resolution. I'd just take it easy. Humming the song of the same name, I slowly parked my bike. After filling up the tank at the nearest place, I looked at the map. The main road was packed right now, and I had to pick the quickest route. I didn't want to lay on the land, but I knew my destination, so it wouldn't be hard to get there. From my current perspective, the me from weeks, no, months ago had all responsibility and just wandered aimlessly out of frustration. I was different now. I had a goal, a place to go, and people who needed me. Thus I didn't have to hesitate anymore. I had to hurry. Fujiyoshi, the misty place once called the werewolf village. Alright, I went without any breaks, stopping only to refill and finally arrived. Honestly, I could barely stand, but my thirst and hunger were way worse. Rest at least once, seriously. Thoughts were dull, I needed to raise my blood sugar. But there was something I had to do before that. I'm back.
てめえ一体何が何言ってんだ
What? You thought I wouldn't figure it out? You're the sheep, aren't you?
知らねえよ帰れよ
I'm amazed you're trying to talk your way out of this while acting like that.
な
Oh
んで
well.
わかったんだよ
You're the only one with an insane fashion sense around these parts. The locals gotta do is shop at the 100 yen shops for their fashion. And no person without alternative motive would recommend that road.
そんなことかよほとんど釣りじゃねえか
Sorry, anyway, give me something to eat.
廃棄前の弁当だったらタダで食わせてやるよ
Loyal to the role, huh?
うるせえな
I'll take the freebies, but I like to order some
こ
strange
こは
things.
コンビニだぞと一応は言うけど
As if the that matters at this point.
手のかかるやつだな
Here's the note.
なんだこれざけんないくらかかんだこんなもん
Can't get it.
待ってろ
Thank you. Leave the rest to me.
マジでこのまま行く気か休んで行った方がいいんじゃねえのか
Do I look that bad?
むしろ一発決めたみてえに血色いいから逆に心配してんだ踏ん張りどころでぽっきり折れんじゃねえぞ
Sorry for making you worry. By the way, I just realized that I might have been used by you people without realizing it. Why am I the one apologizing?
気にすんな。
This little... Well, whatever. I just want to be able to end it with, that was fun. By the way, did the enemy find you?
少なくともあっちは異変には気づいた。今は逃げ回ってるが、尻尾つかまれるのも時間の問題だ。
She was probably fighting her own battle already, one beyond my area of
まあ
expertise.
せいぜい逃げ回ってやるよ。その間あっちがお前の動きに気づくのを
That'll help a lot. Please
こ
do
っ
so.
ちからも聞いていいか。
Sure, go
い
ahead.
つまでこの茶番続くんだよ。
This is the last time.
まあ生きて帰ったらぶん殴るのは勘弁してやる。
She used me for all this I was worth, and then she punched me if I died. It was really amazing. I couldn't tell if she was one of a Tsunade or
あ
see you later. Tsundere. I had my impression and I just got back to my bike. The tons of stuff I had on me made me rustle a rustling sound. Through my dozens of times of being killed by Chimi, I memorized the path here so well and I was sick of it. I passed a small overpass and stopped my bike at the boulder and took off my helmet. This might have been in Okiba too, a sign leading to Fujiyoshi and Yasumizu. I placed the bike under a tree by the road and placed what I had on the ground and locked the bike. I hung the helmet over the lock. That I opened the large mounting bag and took out whatever I needed. A headlamp, it was too big, but it fit well. Shone bright, lasted long, and was resistant water. And this was mounting stick. I'd unpack it in the store. And to make sure I didn't get hurt. My time being limited, I had to buy safety with money. I put on my backpack and putting the weight of all the stuff I put on my shoulders. In a hurry, I'd waste an entire hour just getting there. The distant sound of water becoming louder and I finally made my way through the dark and Sauranaga rapids. I unhesitatingly took off my pants and got in some loose trunks and covered my feet and work toppy and placed my clothes in the waterproof backpack. Through my fights with Chimi, I found out that crossing Sauranaga was pretty dangerous. It'd be pretty pathetic if I fell and died here. I just couldn't let that happen. Anyways, it was time to go. All the rustling came from the backpack, felt like someone was laughing at me. The cold stream of the May numbed my skin, but I couldn't give up. If I did, this would all have been for nothing. Too many people would suffer. However, I was motivated by some sort of justice. I was just interested in the fact that the struggle would end up saving so many lives. It was an amazing trade. I also wanted to get even with some people and set myself free of this one-sided obligation. It was the self-motivation, but that was exactly why I gave it my all. I made it through the water and reached the other side. Naturally, there's no girl sawing off her shotguns here or flashlight she brought. Not this day, anyway. I arrived. Everything was unexpected so far. No, I dropped this climbing stick in the water, so that wasn't great. It was within my margin for error, though I had to calm down, getting distracted by my mistakes with me focusing. I looked at my phone. It was out of service range, of course. The time was pretty early. I had to work out. I changed my clothes and shoes. Then I got on the cliff. Shit. My memory told me that the cliff was the most dangerous place, especially for a non-local like myself. I tried to be careful, obviously, but the other stick I used for climbing broke. After making it up, I took out some whiskey, disinfected the wounds, applied some first aid with my handkerchief. Thinking about it, this wound was really painful. Maybe I had to loop back, and of course that line of thinking would be habitual. It was a bad thing I over-prepared. I had only one life now, so I had to keep that in mind. With that slight shift in mentality, I got back to work. The one thing of the 3 objectives, I had to stop the people of Yasumizu killing each other in the feast, and this was actually the hardest thing to do. Thus, I had both extremely careful and extra prepared. I would be proving a hypothesis. I was really pissed I hadn't thought of this sooner. I'd love to try it when resetting was still an option, but I was pretty confident I was right. If it wasn't here, I had to be in another place that I knew well, but this one seemed more likely. I began preparing. I took out the 20-meter climbing rope. I had 5 spares and 100-meter in the back too. Freeing one of them, I tied it up. I was preparing to hang, passing one swivel route through the rope and hanging the other one on the climbing rope. I had made a 40-meter rope. It was enough to cover a cliff that tall. With this, I had a way down below the hanging pine. I fixed the stopper, and I already tied to my waist on the rope and created a lifeline for myself. Still, I had to do it. Holding onto the rope, I began slowly going down. At first, I spun around, messing around, handling the stopper, slid down a few times, and was on the verge of getting myself. Eventually, I began stopping by spin by touching the grass and branches on the cliff. Finding what I was looking for, climbing down was hard work. I felt water on my forehead and thought it was rain, only to realize it was actually blood from my hand from the rope. That made me nearly aware of pain and pressure from headache. It brought back my exhaustion, drowsiness, and muscle pain. It came with fatigue. I couldn't have come at a worse time. Why was I doing this? The stupidity of it came back to me. But it was all for nothing. Of course it was. Shit. Before I knew, muttering some profanities. I felt like it would help me shake off the urge to cry, the pain, the misery. Even so, it had to be here. The entrance had to be close. All the Yasumizu had taken it for granted. People had to be hanged from the pine. It wasn't the word of mouth or anything. It was just an idea that came naturally. It was with them their whole lives. That meant that this was pretty much the work of God. However, the idea of hanging one side of the rope on the tree, the other on the neck, then pushing the felt illogical. Weren't they doing it because the only cleanup they had to do was, well, during the feast, terms did fall into Sanranaga every now and then. Some corpses had been cut off the cliff and fell into the riverbank. Whenever that happened, the body was not only not cleaned up, it became a rather reeking, full of disease. You just wanted it. All you had to do was put rope over a branch and pull it. If what mattered to them was dropping the body in Sanranaga, then pushing them off was enough. Even if they were just focusing on a certain kill, there weren't many times that they could actually do this. I didn't think that a murder method been done every several dozen or so years would become part of Yasumizu's common soul. That seemed especially unlikely when for the past 500 years or so, the locals only used the feast to control the local community. In that case, I imagine that the truth was different. The hanging wasn't for killing. It was to meet God. A unique way of praying. They hid their face and had to represent the remains of the lifeline. Thus, I surely arrived there, and I went down. I believe that. I believe. Suddenly, something appeared. About midway down the cliff, on one of the links between the climbing rope, I found a large boulder sticking out from the bottom directly across from me. It's large enough to stand on. There were pine saplings on it, probably the children of the hanging pine. It looked suspicious. I had to get there, so I began swinging. Moving my legs and waist, I slowly created a swinging motion. The climbing rope made noise as I clung to it. The fear of the disconnecting and the fear of hitting the boulder struggled violently, but I managed to ignore them. Then the swing was good enough. I waited for them. I was over the boulder and stuck my legs out. I ended up having to grab onto the little pine. My hands hurt because of the prickliness, but that didn't matter now. I adjusted my headlamp and started examining the place more thoroughly. Bingo. right behind all the grift here, there was an edged wooden torii. Yeah, I felt my finger turn, but I needed to press on. Behind the torii, there was an aged door. I pulled on it, and the chain broke, letting me go in. There was no way to hide or guard people of Fujiyoshi. Opened the door, wide, hinged down, and stuck my head into the hole. It was big enough for a crouching adult to pass through. It's a hole in the side of the cliff, angled slightly upward. It was artificially placed, created by digging through the rock here. It was dying inside, and probably due to the slope and the door protecting it. Alright. It wasn't exactly what I expected. It was pretty damn close. Now I needed to secure a way to get here from the bottom, and created a camp and take away the route from the top. Thankfully, the young trees here were firmly planted and had large tree trunks, so I could easily tie a climbing rope around them and make my way down. With this and that, I successfully went down the riverside below. I then got back up to the hanging pine tree and got myself and took care of the climbing rope. Some would come to a graveyard before the mist began, so they'd know something was up if I saw the rope. It'd all go to waste then. I had to hide until the mist came. This too was in part of stopping the people of Yasumizu killing each other in the mist. It was absolutely necessary for the cause. I began creating the riverside camp. Actually, it was on the rocky area above the riverbed. They couldn't see from the top if I was here. Though it wasn't much of a camp, I just took out a blanket and lay down. After drinking a bottle of water, I looked at my phone. It was past 3 on Sunday night. There would be rain in 24 hours, and Saranaga could gain some water. I had to get everything done in the hole until then, prepare for the great act. But, well, it was enough for today. Man, am I tired. I read the Yasumizu a day earlier than normal and confirmed a theory of mine. All that was left now was to enhance the proof. Prepare the fakery. Could go to sleep for now. I had to do things right after the night cleared, so I'd set a timer and just nap. Sleep. There. Good night. Nice. And we will continue this next time. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see what happens.